So my name's Tim Dew. I'm the founder of Games Without Frontiers. I was asked to do a keynote speech at a conference for all the great and the good of HR in Scotland, which is all about putting people at the heart of transformation and change within industry. This video is about this video is the keynote speech that I made that day, which really talks about how you can use simulation gaming and game technology in the workplace as an engagement tool.
Okay, so 4 balls are roundly distributed around your team. You all have 15 seconds. The objective of this game, Team A, Team B, the objective of this game, could you actually all come a little bit more close again? The objective of this game is not to end up with balls. Okay? So you just got to pass them across, don't throw them like that, but just pass them across to the other side. And the whole objective here is to make sure you don't end up with balls. Okay? So we're going to play for 15 seconds. Then we'll stop and see who wins. Yeah? Okay? Who's going to win? Team A? Will it be you? Can I hear a woo? Hey! How about Team B? Are you going to win? Yay! I don't know what these on. Okay, ready? Is everyone ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Stop! Stop! How many balls are over on this side? Okay? Alright, so I think Team A are the winners of that one. Can we just get a couple of balls back on over to Team A? And no cheating at the end, please. Especially you girls. Okay, no cheating kicking the balls at the end, okay? Thank you very much indeed. Okay, we're going to play that again. And ready, steady, go. Okay, and stop. Stop. Okay, that was a bit more even. Now, what I'd like to do is now stop, and I'd like you all just have a little team huddle and just discuss tactics. And you've got 1 minute, then we'll come and play again. Just remember what the objective is of this game. Okay, is everyone ready for their next game? Have you got a plan of action in place? Yeah? Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think it's just Team A. Just Team A and landed up with 2 A's, so I'm going to give it to Team B. So, congratulations Team B. Can everyone sit down? Thank you very much, because we're going to talk about what just happened. So, thank you very much everyone for taking part. That was a bit of fun. My name is Tim Dew. I run a company called Games Without Frontiers, and today we're going to talk a little bit about games in the workplace. Is everyone familiar with David Cole's work around experiential learning? No? Yes? No? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what David Cole said. But if you remember, when you learn to do something, like riding a bike, okay, there's a 4-step process. You'll be familiar with it because it's been rewritten hundreds of times, like Lean and lots of other PDSA, all sorts of things. But basically, you do something, like you jump on the bike, yeah, wobble, right, fall off, okay. And when you learn to ride a bike, you spend a little bit of time reflecting afterwards on what went wrong. Do you know the most important learning point just right there is falling off the bike? Okay, but you reflect. How did everyone else reflect in the room when they were learning to ride a bike? Any emotions? Was it emotional? It was for me. I was crying. The bike was in the bush, and I was a bit upset. But then my big brother came over and said, "Do you still want to ride this bike?" And what I did was I checked my strategy. Okay, yes, I still want to ride the bike. Okay, and then what happened next was I made a new plan. And then I went to have another go at it. Now the interesting thing about what we've just done there is we just ignored these last three things in the first two iterations. We just went do, do. Then I gave you a minute to reflect, create a new strategy, make a new plan, you talked amongst yourselves, and then you clicked immediately on what the strategy was, which was hold on to the ball. Well, most of you got it. Hold on to the ball until the last possible second, and then you release it. Now, what we do in work is just mainly do the do, don't we? We never really stop and reflect, strategize, and plan. And the interesting thing for me is that this is called Kolb's experiential learning cycle. And we can apply it to any learning that we do. So let me ask you just, by the way, this is a two-way thing for me. My voice is going already. So can you just describe, can anyone just describe their most powerful learning experience ever in their life? I'll give you an example. Anything else? Abseiling. Excellent. So did you use a PowerPoint before you went to abseiling? You got instruction for a leader. Well, when did you get the knack of it? When did you get the real hang of it? When you tried it. Interesting. Did you read a manual beforehand? Interesting. Okay. So you need some of the parameters, but you got the hang of it. I remember when I was doing that as well, but you get the hang of it just as you're sweating off the edge. Really interesting, isn't it? The most powerful learning experiences of our life invariably are experience-based. Like learning to ride a bike. Kicking a ball for the first time. Learning to drive a car. Up the road. You do that once or twice, but then you don't do it again. And the interesting thing is, we go around this cycle 3 or 4 times and we become competent at what we do. I'm not going to be a Tour de France cyclist. I'm sorry. I'm going to break that to you gently now. I'm not going to be a Tour de France cyclist. But I've learned, after 3 or 4 iterations, to be quite competent at doing what I do. So, I think it's really interesting that in the world of corporate change, learning, and so on, we expect people to understand, using PowerPoints and manuals, the stuff of experience that only experience can bring to us. And really, the key difference is between 2 different types of learning: tacit and explicit. I tacitly understand how to ride a bike, I tacitly understand how to lead. But explicitly, I don't know how to lead. But I can probably write down some of the things that are important in leadership, which are explicit. I can write down a process. I can write down an HR process of how I'm going to interact, what a KPI looks like. But until I actually do it, until I actually abseil off that list, off that cliff, I'm not going to tacitly understand what it is to abseil until I've done it. And it's so important in learning that we try and encourage experiential-based learning to really accelerate learning. Now, you became an abseiler, sorry, Alison, I'm sorry to keep picking on you, but you became an abseiler. How long did it take you to learn? Interesting. So you learned how to abseil, which is quite a technical thing, in about 15 minutes. Amazing. Amazing what the human mind can do, isn't it? And a bit of trust, absolutely. So we learn how to do these things. Really, we learn so quickly. But if I was trying to teach you how to abseil using PowerPoints and manuals, that could have taken a bit longer, couldn't it? So, just to reflect on this tacit understanding versus explicit. We can write explicit things down, but tacit is often the missing link, and certainly it's a missing link when it comes to transformational change in organizations. How do people feel? We keep talking about these softer things of emotion. The whole theme throughout the whole of today has been about how people interact, how people engage, and so on. So, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background on what I do. Last 20 years I've been going into organisations acting as a business doctor, a bit like Gordon Ramsay, without quite as much swearing. But going into senior leadership teams of scaling SMEs and getting them to change the way that they fundamentally think. So I'm working with a £60 million company at the moment down in London. They are turning over 60 million, but by their own recognition, they're running what they call £10 million mentality. So they can't make that step forward. So, over many, many years of doing this advisory work, I just came to the opinion, actually I got very bored of my own voice doing PowerPoint demonstrations. I got really, really bored of all the best practice stuff that I kept doing. I said there must be a simpler way or quicker way of getting people to understand what it is to run a whole organisation really quickly. So I started looking around at different technologies, and I came across simulation gaming, and we have built Games Without Frontiers, a platform, Games Without Frontiers, a platform that drives organisational change. The first variant of this platform, or the first game that we've developed, is a game called Rocket, okay? And it sits on the platform, and that game called Rocket teaches anybody how to run a whole organisation and optimise it, make it better, take it from good to great in a single day, okay? And funnily enough, it's played over 4 rounds. We have 26 weeks worth of trade crushed in 26 minutes. It's really fast, it's furious, it's intense. And what people get to experience is a whole range of emotions that they wouldn't under normal circumstances experience because of the compressed nature of time. But after each round, we give people about an hour to go back and do the rest of the cold learning cycle, which is, and John's here nodding because he's played it. In fact, 1 or 2 people, who has played Rocket in here? 1, 2, 3, yeah. Well, you're one of my colleagues.
I played.
Anyway, so we built this platform, and we've got another 27 other games, another 27 variants, or sorry, not variants, Rocket, 27 more games already planned and scheduled to sit onto this platform. The big key thing is that what we do is we don't train anymore. We create an environment where people have light bulb moments for themselves. Did I teach you at any point to hold on to the ball during that game? Somebody had a bright idea in the room. That's called knowledge transfer, okay? And our objective, what's very difficult, what we do, and takes lots of time to develop, is that what we do is create an environment where people have their own light bulb moments. I tell you what kicked it off actually was a book by Duncan Van Praet, and if you have not read it, please read it. It's called Unconscious Branding, and it's one of the most powerful books I've ever come across, business books that I've come across. And in it, it says something really bloody annoyingly obvious. And it says, the only way to get someone to believe in your idea is to get them to believe it was their idea in the first place. Well, that's obvious. Everyone knows that's the first rule of HR, it's the first rule of coaching, isn't it? So we very, very specifically, within our platform, do not teach. We give you a few rules of how to operate the simulated environment, give you a few rules, and then it's up to you. We do not teach you what is right and what is wrong. We let the combined knowledge, because we believe in the power of the human brain, which has got 100 billion connections in it, compared with 10 million stars in the galaxy. We believe in the power of brains to overcome critically complex environments. And running businesses is complex. But put a few brains together, and actually you can come up with some really good answers. So that's what we're about, is about creating that environment. So, the objective of today is so that everyone can leave the room and understand a little bit about gaming and what it can do for you and for your organisations in the future. I'm just going to do a couple of definitions just to start with. Everyone's got the buzzword, gamification. Does everyone know what it means? Because I use it in different contexts. So gamification in my world is about the application of game elements into existing processes, like you might use for collecting coffees from Starbucks. You get your points, so many points make a prize. They sound like Bruce Forsyth. So gamification is about taking an existing process and making it fun. Okay? Serious games is the world that I'm in, which is actually the application of real gaming technology in the serious environment, which is the workplace, or organizational, in organizational change. This word simulation is really heavily bandied about. Does anyone know what this is? It's a knickerbocker glory. Now, I'm sorry, I'm not appealing to everybody. You have to be of a certain age, I'm sorry, I know. But once upon a time, the biggest thing in my life was eating one of these down at the local Wimpy. Does everyone remember that? Okay. Now, the interesting thing is that a lot of people have played simulations before. But that's what is pictured in my head when a simulation comes up. It's not to say that there's anything wrong with knickerbocker glory, except I will just point out the bottom bit just there is tinned fruit. Okay? But since the 1970s, things have improved in the fruit delivery supply chain. The upshot of which is that just because something has this moniker, simulation, does not mean not all simulations are born alike, is what I'm trying to say. So there are lots of different changes, and we are very new to the marketplace. We think our stuff is all pretty cool. Of course, we would say that, but just so you're aware that you should actually compare different simulations, and just because one simulation has crossed your path 10 years ago doesn't mean that all simulations are exactly the same. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about productivity, engagement, and transformation. How am I doing on time? 15. Okay. 2 minutes productivity. Okay, how do you measure productivity of your organisation? Come on, everyone must know. Everyone uses the term every single day. Sales per person. Okay. Well, the answer is, when you actually go and look at the research, I'm really interested in Sam, and I was speaking to Sam and Sharon between the break. I'm really, really interested about how you can tie any of their research tying back to productivity. In fact, that's what you're next planning to do, which is absolutely fascinating, because for me, productivity, there's lots of indicators of what drives productivity within an organisation, but even the Bank of England can't tell me how to measure productivity. And if you go and do any cursory research, there's a very good article on Harvard Business Review about the complete brain meltdown required to actually put the algorithms in place to be able to measure the productivity of one organisation, such as the overload of algorithmic needs of testing productivity within an organisation. In actual fact, they cite one example where they spent millions and millions of pounds on it, and the mathematician that they got in to create the productivity test came back and said, well, all departments within this organisation are operating 40% of what their total productivity should be. And the shareholder said, well, the board members said, well, actually, but they're all doing pretty well, so you're wrong, the results are right. So really difficult thing to do. But what we do know is, and what you can test from a productivity point of view, is the more macroeconomic stuff, like inputs and outputs within regions and so on. And there's some very good data available via the Nestle website at the moment on specific productivities within your particular regions, if you want to go and have those out and all of that. Some regions are doing better than others, but that is exactly as we would expect. So we can't measure productivity accurately, but what we do is we can see there are various indicators that will help us to do. And one of them was mentioned by Sharon a little bit earlier, is there is plenty of knowledge which has been built up, proven that engagement creates better productivity. In actual fact, if you go and look at Andrew Halding's report, standard deviation on investment in management, if you are able to move the investment in management 1% to the right, in terms of investment on the standard deviation curve, that produces approximately a 10% increase in productivity. So, how do you do that? Well, you have to invest in your management teams as the old age thing. So, productivity is extremely difficult to drive. However, if we can get that engagement right, and we can get people to understand that, and just going back to any of the talks earlier, if we can actually get that transfer of knowledge of people to get them producing efficiencies within the organisation, then productivity will start to happen. So when I describe productivity to an ordinary business person or organisation person, I say it is not the efficiency in itself that is productivity. It is the capacity of your organisation to create efficiency. Now, it's not technically strictly true, but it's a good indicator of what's needed. All signposts lead to investment in management. And that's why we created Rocket. Okay, so engagement. We have a world of very different people. These people, millennials, oh God, they're so difficult. I mean, I remember being told I was odd, different, and so on. Who's the head of that New York marketing agency who said the only difference about millennials is that it is the first generation that's been talked about so much in all their lives, so that no wonder they're feeling self-conscious and so on. But we are dealing with this big, broad range of people, an aging population as well. And some of the things that drove me into this world of simulation gaming is very simply that we've got 60% of all businesses in the United Kingdom that are now owned by people over the age of 60. What happens to all of those businesses over the next 10 years? Anyone know? Why is it that 97% of all businesses in the United Kingdom and America turn over less than £1 million? Why is that? Real problems here. And broadly speaking, in the engagement piece, is we have these us and them, we have this us and them thing. With directors, you've got senior management team, or senior leadership team, I'm changing the words now, senior leadership team. And how do we get these guys to operate the business when the directors are hierarchically delivering, telling them all the time, God, you guys should do this, do this, do this, do this. So they get down and saying, what should I do next? What should I do next? What should I do next? But in actual fact, the trick of a director is to get those people that are in charge of in the leadership team to actually self-optimize themselves. And that's why I built Rocket. So, engagement model has to change, very fundamentally. And this draws very quickly onto transformation. I am going quite quickly. I'm getting myself tired here. Okay, so transformation. Okay, traditional model, I can pick any one of the major consulting companies who all claim very clearly that they are able to deliver transformation. The buzzword is digital transformation. I love the word digital. No one knows what it means, just like productivity. But anyway, digital transformation. And the traditional model is this. It's a three-phase thing. Okay, it goes like this. We have some senior stakeholders. Okay, now they will make some decisions about what the change is needed, and then this middle management will implement it. Okay, and then the guys on the ground, the users, or staff, call it what you will, or just suck it up. And it doesn't really work. And what they do is they dress this up over and over again in lots of different ways. And organisations do dress it up in lots of different ways. But that model fundamentally has got to change. And that's why what I find simulation gaming so exciting, is because we can, for the first time, change this model. Okay? So, once you get agreement here, in actual fact, so let's talk about what a transformation is. So, transformation very often is associated with a technology. I want you to take away from that. If you go and look at Marjorie Godfrey, who's health related in here? Anyone know Marjorie Godfrey from the Dartmouth Institute? Okay, Dartmouth Institute is the head of, it's the pinnacle of healthcare improvement in the United States. And Marjorie Godfrey is one of the professors there, and she is absolutely spot on when she says that 80% of any healthcare transformation is driven by relationships. 20% is driven by process. Yet, if you look at most of the transformation that's happening within healthcare at the moment, I'm not going to be too specific, nearly all of it is tool-based. And people forget fundamentally that before you create any change, you have to win the hearts and minds of people. You have to get them to say, do you know what? I'd like to have this tool. I have a real need for this tool. If I have this real need for the tool, then of course the tool that's been provided for, you just step in, just say, well look, it's just here. You just get out of the way. And this is fundamentally how we can change, using simulation gaming technology, is move the way that we do transformation within organizations. So I'm just going to get really specific about what a transformation looks like. A transformation in my book is about moving from an individual, or 2,000 individuals, from I don't want to engage or do something, to moving them to I want to engage. I'm just going to repeat the Duncan Van Prate. The only way to get someone to believe in your idea, however good it is to get them to believe it was their idea in the first place. So we can change the transformation model now by getting stakeholder engagement. Yeah, absolutely, we're always going to need that. But then we use gaming to go directly to all the staff, bypassing standard operating models of perpetuating what's the word? Big mind there. But getting the word out there. Go straight to the people that are using them. Get them to start saying, I'd like to use this new ERP system. I want to change the culture in my organization from that of not giving a shit to giving a shit. Actually, I want to give that discretionary work that Glenn was talking about. And incidentally, don't forget anything that Glenn was saying this. Simulation gaming is only part of the toolkit. It's just a piece in the puzzle, if you like. But we can go to all that. But if we have 4,000 people all saying, I want a culture change, then it's quite a lot easier to create that culture change because you've got them on board before you actually try and implement it. Okay. How am I doing? Almost there?
Almost there, you've got 2 minutes now.
Okay, so what can gaming deliver? Engagement. Well, we had a bit of fun earlier, and that's a demonstration of gaming. Incidentally, if you want to come and play Rocket and just have an experience, you will be utterly engaged. I can promise you that you'll be drawn into the vortex, and you will love every single minute of it. And it will be emotional. It will be. Because you will be challenged with all sorts of things that you haven't thought about before. And that's okay. That's great, because confusion is something to celebrate, because confusion is the precursor to learning for all of us. So gaming can also deliver communication, which is a very important thing. We go and do communication courses all the time, but in actual fact, people don't teach you what the conversation is. Communication is great, but so I've got to go and communicate with the marketing department. Hi, marketing. Do you know why I'm here? No, neither do I. I've no idea. Okay, I'll just go back and carry on doing my invoices. But you've got to understand the context, the tacit understanding of why you need to go and speak to marketing from within every other department. It drives productivity. We've talked about transformation. It accelerates learning. By God, you learn quickly. All of you guys earlier, and I didn't have to do a thing. It removes silos. It gets people, actually, do you know, if there was one thing about this platform that it teaches, is actually, we teach one thing only, empathy. Empathy for other people within other departments. We all know about complexity theory. Well, maybe we don't, look it up. Complexity theory is all about unintended consequences of what we do. So I might be producing an invoice in a certain way, which is completely invigorating sales in another part of the building, but I'm not even the first concept of why that's happening. We deal with complexity, we deal with knowledge transfer because we don't teach anything. The knowledge within your organizations is in your organizations right now. It just needs to be unlocked. Retention. Oh, yeah. Has anyone forgotten how to ride a bike in here? Have you forgotten to abseil? I think you and I could go and have a go, couldn't we? We wouldn't kill ourselves. Okay. Purpose. Very interesting. Purpose. It drives purpose, and that's to do with how we facilitate the game to what outcomes. So you need to see the game to understand that. It absolutely deals with the tacit learning bit. What's also interesting is that Callahan's is using our game for graduate selection and recruitment, because they want to see how people behave. Because under, intense conditions, it produces behaviors that you're just not going to see. How can I get someone to understand about work in progress? What the cash requirements of a business are? How do you do that unless you actually compress that thing and so you can see it actually happening before your eyes? Absolutely impossible. You understood work in progress in minutes. Thank you very much. And deals with intrinsic motivation, which brings me to the end. Thank you. Please do take the moment to link into me. My name is Tim Dew. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me.